Welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. My name is Anthony Barocas, and I am the Chief Gearhead here at StreamTek. Let me get rid of that title. Thank you all for tuning in. We've got a good audience already today, and I'm sure more people are going to join in. As always, this is a user-driven show. It's a live show. The whole point of being here live, the whole point of you being here live is so that you can join me in this event. And I am on LinkedIn, live on LinkedIn, live on Twitch, although I did find out that Twitch does not like the pre-show music that I have, even though it is rights cleared, and Facebook and YouTube have no problem with it. Twitch has a problem with it, so after the show, it does not make the live shows available. So I'm only live on Twitch, but until we figure out what the deal is with the music and Twitch, Twitch is not making the live shows available after the fact. Thanks, Twitch. LinkedIn, not on X anymore, because X now requires you to pay to stream on X, Twitter. And if I'm providing content for them to get viewers, I don't need to pay them to provide them content. You know, it's like if you make a broadcast TV show, you don't pay the network to have a TV show, the network pays you. I am live on Facebook and live on YouTube, of course. Oh, and live on Instagram today. Got Instagram back up and running. So if you look for Stream Technology on Instagram, I have a new channel. So we are live most everywhere, not on TikTok and a couple other things. And if you have something that you think would be a good avenue, you know, write it in the comments or contact me. You can always reach out to me via my company, which is, let me get rid of that. Boop. Stream for Us. Right here, this is my company. I do live streaming, and I use a lot of different technologies. Stream, the number 4.us, and up there's a quick quote or a contact page. You can reach out to me that way. I also do consulting. So if you're looking to build a studio and need someone to bounce ideas off of or to recommend solutions, I can do that for you. That's consulting. So we are here live every week. I see we have a good group tuning in. Also, I am also viewable on Streaming Media Producer, is a magazine that I have written for many years. And you can sign up for streaming media at streamingmedia.com and get information there. There's also, yeah, let me get that out of the way because I'm in a couple chats here. Go away, go away, go away. Thank you, Facebook. There's the StreamTek page with 155 followers. So updates and other information gets posted there. And you can also go to StreamTek on YouTube. This is the main place where all the content goes because I think YouTube right now is the best in terms of live streaming capability. Even so much so that when I stream to Facebook, I can hear the pitch of the music get faster and slower and faster and slower. And it's like, that's just weird. But I don't know, Facebook doesn't seem to be able to maintain a proper flow of data. I don't get it. YouTube, no problem. Same music going to everybody, streaming to all the different destinations from one source. Also, I've just added Patreon link in today's show on YouTube. So if you want to help support working on memberships for YouTube, but if you have found any of the videos I've created, and there are a lot of videos here, if you have found any of the videos helpful, going over to Patreon would help a lot. Come down here to videos. You can find a lot of different things on vMix. I just did this cool studio on a stick where I had two cameras and I was walking around and switching, and the whole thing was on a stick that I was walking with. And that was really cool. And that is actually a solution powered by, thank you, Facebook, for just being absolutely annoying today. That is a solution provided by AirMix, which is a free app that is available for iOS, iPad. but you could also use Android devices as cameras. So there's AirMix Solo, and you can see right down here, there's AirMix Remote. That's the one you use for cameras. Here's the link for AirMix, the app, and then here's the video studio on a stick. So I had the whole studio, and I was walking around, and that phone that you see right there at the bottom, that's where I'm actually seeing the cameras, seeing the audio. I can play back video, I can put on graphics, and I'm streaming from that phone. Actually, I'm not streaming from that phone. That phone didn't have a SIM card. I'm going Wi-Fi to another cell phone to stream as I'm walking around. So that was pretty cool. Did that a little while ago. So that's some of the extra content that you'll see. And if that content is useful to you, we do studio visits, studio critiques, as we call them, talking about the TriCaster, talking about the YoloBoxes, talking about, we have another box that will be coming up in due time. This is the OBSBot Talent. Can't open this box yet. It's under NDA, so it's actually still sealed. This is the OBSBot Talent. This is going to be coming up. So we'll be taking a really good look at that coming up. That is a new entry into the all-in-one solution market. So that'll be really cool. But anyway, I'd love to know where everybody is watching from. So if you are just joining the program today, please let me know. It's over here, where you are watching from, so that we can put that up. And if you have any streaming questions, they do not have to be YoloBox related. I'm not directly tied to YOLO Live. I was last year, but I'm not tied to YOLO anymore. So I'm free to talk about YOLO in comparison to Magewell, in comparison to the OBSBot Talent and other solutions. So we're able to contrast and compare. And that's one of the reasons for going solo. But as always, when I write for Streaming Media Magazine, that is, I've covered all sorts of gear for many different companies, and should start out by saying that I have no ties to YOLO anymore. YOLO's not paying for this. YOLO, there's no compensation that has gone through from YOLO to me, to YOLO, or whatever. These are just being done, for StreamTek. And if you subscribe and become a Patreon, you get a cool glitter sticker. So these are just my end user. They have no control of the content that's presented. So if I find a bug, if we uncover a bug or whatever, I'm going to show it to you. So that's one of the cool things about watching them here on StreamTek. So anyway, let's go through the hellos here. We've got hello from Midland, Texas, from Dan Schwartzlander. And it's Indy. Come to hear what's hot. And he also says, hi, Chad, what YOLO do you have? Well, I have a couple of them. That's why we're going to talk about them today. Kerala, India. Cletus, good to see you there, Cletus. Thank you for joining in. Crossworks is coming in from Alabama. And he has a YoloBox Ultra, so congratulations on that. Baba Rafe says, hello from Sacramento. Continuing down the list, Performance Video and Film says hello. Doesn't say from where though. Down here, Fred is joining us from Stratford, Ontario. Saw TV is joining us from Chicago. Hopefully it's a little cooler there today than it is down here. St. Kitts in the house. Good to see you there. Thank you very much. And of course, thank you very much, Julio, joining us from Atlantic City. Scary Kitty says, okay. Greetings from Chicago, from Reaction YouTube. Thank you for joining us again. Good to see you. And we have the Ocean Shores, Washington. We have a good USA contingent today, but let's not leave out Bangkok, Thailand. Lepab Pattaya. Good to see you here. And also Steve Smith jumping in from the United Kingdom. And oh, there you go. Thank you very much for joining in. Yes, you're all 20 seconds behind me. So that actually worked out very nicely. Performance Video Film is in Southern California. And that hits all of the hellos, and welcome to everyone who's here. Just to give you a brief overview, we have both the YoloBox Pro and the YoloBox ULTRA. And I have pages of notes here to help guide me through all the different changes. Yolo has been coming out with a lot of updates with these things, and then updates for the updates. You know, like one of the things that was in beta test was then changed in the actual release, and then people didn't like it, and then they changed it again. So there's a 5.0 and then a 5.1 update and things like that. So that is kind of what one of the things we're going to be covering today is the various updates for both the Pro and the Ultra. And it was funny, I just saw a comment on the Facebook user group for YOLO Live, and I just got my Pro, and it doesn't work with my YOLO deck. And you know what's going on? And I'm like, well, you need to download the latest update, the 5.4.1 update for the YOLO deck on the Pro, and there is your YOLO deck right there. And this is connected to the Pro, and I can switch inputs on it. So it works with the Pro. That's a new thing. It works with the Pro, and there it is. I literally just threw that update on there right before the show just to see what havoc we could cause. We will then I'll go through the Pro, and then I'll go over to the Ultra. There's a lot more to talk about with the Ultra, really cool stuff. So if we go kind of fast through the Pro, throw your comments and questions into the comment area. Could I have that on the screen in front of me? So let's go up. Let's see. Cletus says, my YoloBox Ultra has some problems with the audio section. He clarifies, connect the 3.5 millimeter input to the line input from an MP3 player, but when I mute audio from control panel, it is muted in headphone, not muted in live streaming and recording. Yes, that's the way YOLO does it. It has been an ongoing thing for well over a year to get things working the way we think they should be working. The meter is tied. It used to be that there was no separate headphone. Actually, the headphone volume, it's very convoluted that the metering, the program, the stream, and the headphone volume were all kind of tied together. And then in the Ultra, they came out with the separate, let me just double check that. If you go to the audio mixer, in here, I don't have a program over here. So I don't have a fourth program. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I don't have a fourth program to bring audio into the Pro. But in the Ultra, just go over here, Ultra, let's go, no, not minus, on. There we go, we've got overhead. You can see that I've got audio coming in my HDMI 1, which is my camera. And then if I bring this down, it goes down everywhere. That makes sense. And then if I come up to the monitor, and if I bring the monitor down, it should just go down in your headphones. It should not go down in the meter, which thankfully that's the way it does here. But in the Pro, when you bring, unfortunately, I don't have another audio source coming in here. I just have 2 quiet sources. So my bad. Actually, I think I could bring him. He is 2. Don't do this at home. Let's see if we can do this. Bring 2 over here. Okay, so there, well, actually I had audio on 1. So if I bring monitor down, you see the monitor brings down your level here. Now, technically it's still going out program, but you can't see it. And that's freaky. That's been fixed on the Ultra, still kind of working it out. So things work differently on different models, and that's not a good thing. Consistency is really key. But doing the separate monitor level adjustment takes a lot of working around in engineering. So hopefully they can update this to work the way that does. But as of right now, turning down the monitor turns down the meter. So if I don't want to hear it so loud in my headphones, I can no longer see it. That's on the Pro. On the Ultra, you can see I can vary my monitor level, but the level meter still indicates that I've got loud audio there, which is good. So it is not muted in live streaming and recording. Well, when I mute audio from the control panel, it's muted in headphone. Oh, there's not a mute button. So I don't know what you think mute. So you're saying that if you bring this down, that signal is still going out to program? Well, that would be bad because right now, the meter is saying that you have no audio going out or being recorded. And to still have audio going out that you can't see, that would not be good. Do not think that the minus is muting. It's not. What the mix minus is on the Ultra is it's an important feature when you are bringing in a remote guest so that you can be in the program, and when you hit minus, now you don't hear yourself. You're hearing the mix minus yourself or whatever that input is. But that is still part of program. That's the way it's supposed to work. And that's the way it does work. But it has been years begging for this to happen. Since the remote guest feature has been added, the mix minus actually makes remote guest feature usable. There is no mix minus on the Pro. You can still do remote guests, but there is no mix minus on the Pro to make that as usable. There's a workaround. It's kind of wonky, but there is a workaround, but it's not as this is the way it's supposed to work as mix minus, having a minus button on your input. Let us continue down the questions. We got another question here. Recovery Drone says, what happened to the YouTube streaming protocol? I keep getting error message, had to go to RTM and streaming setup. I don't know. It's different for everyone. The fact that you're getting an error does not mean that there's an inherent error in the system, because if there was an inherent error in the system, I think 90% of the people in the Facebook group would all be reporting the same problem. So one thing I usually find that's useful, especially for Facebook, because it requires reauthorization every couple months, is to delete it and reconnect it. And then that should clear if you're getting a specific error message. Otherwise, it may be regards to something else. I can't diagnose exactly without knowing a whole lot more about what exactly is going on. Got another question coming in. Recent tests on the Pro show that the mic and line inputs have the same gain structure, and I've noticed a similar issue with the Ultra. Yes, I've actually seen the same as well. Interestingly, though, the mic input does power an external microphone, so it does have the mic power, but I have fed line inputs into the mic to get like a slightly hotter signal, but there's not much difference between the two. I agree with you there. Thanks for the reply. You're welcome. I like your voice sound. You're welcome. We have a small studio and we'll have talent or two on chairs and a remote guest. How do you suggest we set up the mix minus in the studio talent about 100 feet away? For the in-studio talent, sorry, misread it. How would you suggest? Well, if you've got an Ultra, it's easy. You just take the headphone out and that goes to the in-studio talent. Best is with in-ear monitors. There's a lot of them available. You just type in-ear monitor on Amazon. You'll find thousands of things to choose from. I can put a link in the description, but feel free to go after whatever floats your boat. And that's the way to do it. If you're using a Pro, it's a lot more difficult. And I did a video for YOLO last year on a workaround to make it work. And essentially, you have to call in as a remote guest to your own call-in show to be able to get program minus yourself. And that is kind of a really wonky way to do it, but that's how it has to happen on the Pro right now. But you didn't say which device you have, so I can't really answer the question. I know you have a small studio and 2 chairs and a remote guest, but I don't know what device you're using. And I'm not speaking for an ATEM or any of the other solutions that are out there as well. If you have a Director Mini, the Director Mini works completely differently in that the Director Mini has a mix minus not for each individual input, but globally. If you feed your program audio in through the mic or your line input on the Director Mini, then you can just say, don't feed that back to your program out. Super easy. To your headphone output. So that way you can feed the room the headphone output and get all your video playbacks and things like that. But the Magewell Director Mini doesn't have a remote guest feature, so it's not as usable, or it's not as critical a feature, but it's already there. So be that as it may. Sorry, we have the Ultra. Yes, so the Ultra is you just take your headphone out and feed the headphone out to in-ear monitors, wireless in-ear monitors, and that would be what your two people on stage would hear, and then they would be talking into the system, and then whatever input has their audio, you would, let me go to the overhead, you would turn that input, whether they're going into a camera via HDMI, you would turn that minus on, or if they were coming in, you know, I have a USB input, or I have an NDI input, or if you were going to plug in, let's see if I have another plug here. If you were going to plug in, I'm going to use a headphone cable, but I'm going to plug it into, the Ultra has them down here, one of these inputs on the bottom, and what it's going to do is it's going to trigger the device to give me mic. So you see now that I've got a mic input here, actually I take the Ultra directly. I have the mic input at the bottom. If I don't want the microphone input coming from your audio mixing board in the studio to go back out to the guests who are listening to the program from the headphone output of the Ultra, you hit that. That's how powerful Mix Minus is. That's, you know, so if you have an audio person mixing for the room, and they've got the audio and everything, and then they feed you the room audio into here, the room audio goes into your microphone or line input. You hit Mix Minus, then the program goes to a separate device that makes the in-ear, that feeds the in-ear monitors for your guests. Let's put this back up here. That was plugged into my Instagram. So I am on Instagram, I am on LinkedIn and everything. So again, audience has sort of grown a bit since we got started. Let me scroll back up and say, welcome to everyone to today's show. Today I will be talking about YoloBox updates. We are talking about both the YoloBox Pro and the YoloBox Ultra. There's been a lot of updates to both of them, and we're going to try to get through all of them and also answer your questions live. So that's today's show. I always love to know where people are watching from. So if you haven't already chimed in, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And because it's a live show, I always ask, what streaming questions do you have today? But I also theme the shows so that we can answer, we have a topic to talk about. Audio on camera through HDMI, audio on camera through HDMI, audio through YoloBox mic line. Thanks. You're welcome. Hello, question. These YoloBoxes still suffer from dropped frames, or are they smooth now? Thanks. My Pro still suffers from dropped frames, and it's only 60. The Pro has originally, years ago, it had 50p and 25p. And then to smooth out the frames, they focused on just 60 and 30 and released an update that supposedly says, nope, we're smooth now. And it has not been smooth. I still see doubled frames. The Ultra just received an update on my notes here. The Ultra, was it 250 or was it the 251? Or was it just before that one? The 220, Ultra 220 supports 25 and 50. So the Ultra is more powerful, more capable. I don't work for YOLO, so I can't guarantee it's absolutely smooth. I have not used it as heavily as I use the Magewell Director Mini, which has always given me a true 30 frames per second every single time I've used it since I got it. The Ultra I have used for different things, and when I last tried to use it for a show, which was the call-in show, it got all mixed up in turning on channels and turning off channels, and audio follows video. So it's still hit or miss for me in terms of being as intuitive as I would like it to be, but I can't concretely say they have ironed out all of the frame things. And then it also depends. How many devices are you using? How many inputs? Are you using all 3 USB inputs? Are you doing multiple NDIs? Are you doing, multiple remote callers? Does it have to process all this stuff? Are you doing everything at 4K? Then probably not going to do a full 60 frames per second. So, this from dropped frames from 60, drop frames from 30, depending on how many inputs. That's the thing. There's so many variables. If you plug in one 4K thing and you're streaming 4K, it'd probably do 4K P60 fine. If you're trying to do 4K P60 with replays and remote guests, then it's probably not going to do it. So let me go back up. A bunch of questions came in. I have an Ultra and it's a great piece of kit, right? I wish it didn't do so much. Everybody keeps asking for more features, but I think it should have more stability before getting more features. This right here. It is something I said last year when I actually was working for YOLO, and Frank promised that the Pro, before the Ultra even came out, the Pro would not get more features. They were going to focus on making it bulletproof. And they came out with a couple updates to try and make it more bulletproof. And then the Ultra came out at the end of last year. And then, of course, the Ultra has needed a bunch of fixes and updates and tweaks and things like that. And so the Ultra has received the majority of time. Because remember, there's humans working on this. And the humans only work for so many hours a day. And they only work for so many days a week. And so there's only so many hours that these humans can put into engineering. And if you're trying to fix 20 things on the Ultra and you've got all the engineers working on that, then there's the 5 people that are working on the Pro, or the no people that are working on the Pro, are not able to deliver the continued Pro updates. So I think now that we've seen a couple updates for the Pro come out, that means a couple people have been pulled from the Ultra and put onto the Pro to work on those updates on the Pro. And so I hope that, I agree with you. I'd rather have something that is bulletproof and does less which is why I produce this show. Like when I switch to this and when I switch to this and when I switch, I'm switching using my little Bluetooth keyboard on a Magewell Director Mini. I am producing on a Magewell Director Mini. Also, it would be hard for me to produce a show about the Ultra if I'm using the Ultra. So there's 2 reasons, I find the Magewell to be more reliable, but I also find I can't do a show about the Ultra if I'm using the Ultra. So I need another device after that to be able to switch to show you, look, here's the Ultra. And I can't show you the operating screen of the Ultra if I'm using the Ultra. It just doesn't work that way. So even if the Ultra was perfectly and absolutely smooth, I would still have to use another device to do the show about the Ultra. A little off topic. The other day when reviewing the portable streaming solutions, you entered absolute values for audio delays. Do you do some arithmetic calculations for that? Good catch. That's a really good catch. I entered absolute values based on 30 frames per second video. Because I'm in North America, it's 60 and 30. If you are elsewhere, it's different frames per second, so it's different timing. And 30 frames per second, it's, there's 1,000 milliseconds. A millisecond means a thousandth of a second, milli. So you take 1,000 milliseconds and then you chop it up by how many frames a second. That gives you how many milliseconds per frame. It's math. So if you're doing 60, it's a smaller group of milliseconds per frame. I'm doing 30, so it's about 30 milliseconds per frame. If I'm 2 frames behind, it's 60 milliseconds. If I'm 3 frames behind, 30, 60, 90, it's 90 milliseconds. So that math is going to be consistent wherever you are in the world, whatever frame rate you are using around the world. So if you are using 50 frames per second or 25 frames per second, you take 1,000 divided by 25, and that's, you do your math that way, because that's how many milliseconds per frame it's going to be. Glenn is in Manchester, United Kingdom. Good to see you there. Not going to try to pronounce that. Watching from Iceland. I visited Iceland about 2 years ago, and it rained for almost the entire time I was there. Just happened to catch a storm blowing over the island, but really loved it, and look forward to going back. Christopher, watching from Central Florida. Thank you very much. That was a question. Sorry. Do you recommend using the audio coming in from a camera's HDMI or use the mic line in the YoloBox? Oh, I always prefer using the camera for a couple reasons. First, you can record an ISO in camera and get the audio. Always a great backup. Second, when you feed the audio with the camera audio, they're going to get the same delay as they pass through the device. Third, it doesn't use another input on the device, so it's less processing. It's already going to process whatever audio comes with the video anyway. If you add an audio, then it's doing more. So there's 3 great reasons right there. How to add lower band advertisements on the YoloBox Ultra. You could do green screen from a laptop using PowerPoint and then just go between the pages as a video input, do video picture-in-picture, one over the other. The HDMI should be in sync. The mic line would require lip syncing. And yes, Steve Smith is right. And you use the math that we just talked about to figure the delay. Because remember, the audio on all these devices has the ability to be delayed. I did a video on the, what is this? The RGB link. I did a video on this. And this also, if you feed in through your XLR jack, you can then say XLR jack delay this many milliseconds. It's a very common thing because these all have delay. And they have delay because in order to sync up multiple camera sources, you have to delay them and process them in the device. And that delay is going to take 1, 2, 3 frames of time, probably some in between, probably not exactly 2 frames, but close enough. And then audio that's just coming in directly is not being hit with that processing. So it just comes straight in. And it's actually ahead of the video because the video is still being processed by the time it gets there. So you have to delay. You have to come just buffer for 6 and get out. So it's kind of that there's this bucket of time. And it comes in time, back out. So there's that. And just how to delay it upon rate processing. This is different. I have measured RGB to know exact frames. My Work Pro used for videos for live determine edit time 2 frames from log play. So just saying, okay, I put the analog in, go back, just it's if the bracket exactly milliseconds. Hello, Austria. Thank you for joining us. And it's possible to on the Pro and output the Mini and stream 720 on the Mini. Yeah, sure. If you have both a YoloBox Pro and a YoloBox Mini, yes. And technically, record on Pro and output the Mini and stream 720 on the Mini. Yes. Yes. You can record on the Pro internally at 1080, feed the HDMI out to the Mini, and then have the Mini set to different settings and stream from the Mini at 720p. Absolutely. On the Ultra, you can record and stream at 2 different settings. So it has enough built-in processing capability, and it has 2 different encoders. So you can do big and small in the Ultra, and you don't need 2 devices. Your voice is breaking badly. Well, I can turn that down. Let me go to, it's interesting. Let me just turn I was getting very excited. So let me open this. No, cancel. No, cancel. No. There we go. I will just turn that down a little bit more so it's not clipping. And hopefully that will fix things. Oh, actually, you know what? Let me go into here and turn down the output gain. There we go. I added a limiter today. Rome says, have a great stream. Thank you, Rome. Thank you very much. Rome's probably going to do his own stream now. He streams a lot. Audio stalling. Yes, thank you. No audio. Audio is good now. Okay, you're gonna. Thank you all for using the comments to let me know about the audio. And that's really, you know, this is the magic of a live show, is that we're both here together in the same room. So now that we've gone through all of that, and thank you very much for the questions. I appreciate the questions. I hope the answers have been helpful to you. Let us get into this. Go to my overhead and do side by side. So I've got both the Pro and the Ultra here. I do have the Pro output right here, so we can see that. And I've got my notes. Your audio is out of sync now. That would be interesting, because I did not change the process for the audio. But it does look like my video is stuttering, which is interesting. So yeah, chalk that one up to the Magewell Director Mini, which is what I'm using for today's show. We're going to hide that. And all these shows get re-edited and then posted later to just focus on the content. So if you're here for the actual update video, there will be another video released for that. So anyway, the Pro, if you did not see it, there were a 5.3 update which supported NDI. NDI is huge. So when you go to the Pro, you can see down here now, NDI, 1 NDI. And remember, the Pro is already kind of like at the limit. So you don't want to be doing like 3 HDMIs and a USB and, you know, video clips and, you know, overlays and remote guests and an NDI. You're going to like slog this thing down. And I did a video some time ago where I threw everything at the Pro, and I think I got it down to like 15 frames a second. That's what's going to happen. It's going to start, it can't process all those frames in real time. So it's going to start giving you less actual frames. It's going to hold a frame longer. You know, you're going to have a frame for 2 frames, have a frame, hold it for 2 frames, have a frame, hold it for, you know, that's what's going to happen when it can't process the frames. It can't catch up, but because it's video, it still needs to deliver a video. So it's just going to hold on to a frame, and you're going to get a lower frame rate. Sort of like watching film, which was 24 frames a second. But NDI, so you can click on the NDI. I haven't paid for it on this device. NDI is a paid license. And it's not a YOLO thing, it's an NDI thing. It's a license that they have to get from the NDI organization, which is created by NewTek, which is now Vizard. And you activate it per device. So if you activate NDI on your YoloBox Pro, if I activate it on here, I can't also use it over here. If I activate it over here, I can't also use it. It's turned on. That feature is turned on in this device. If you don't need NDI, you don't need to pay for it. So this is why it's not automatically on. Not everybody needs it. Not everybody wants it. Not everybody has a good enough network to do it. So it's a capability that's in there for those people who want to add that on. I have an OBSBot over here, and in order to use NDI on the OBSBot, I had to pay to turn it on the OBSBot. Because if you don't need it, the OBSBot still works as a camera, HDMI, remote control, recording and streaming. It still does everything the OBSBot does. But for those people that need NDI, you can add that capability to the OBSBot and then be able to pull that in. So it has it activated. As you can see right here, I have the tail air, and I can turn that on, done. And that should come in as a source there. So you can see I'm pulling that in. And people often ask, what's the deal with NDI? Why? Now, I have several videos on this channel. I have several videos on this YouTube channel, and I encourage you to go over there and start, you scroll way down. They were some of the first videos that were made. Oh, you got to scroll all the way through an AB, and they tell you what is it, how it works, what the bit rates are, what the licensing is, how to do your networking and all of that. And those are going to be very important for understanding the value that NDI brings. So you scroll down. Yeah, it's been quite some time since I've done those. All in on NDI is a very good one. And then you come up, there's an NDI basic intro. That's a good one to start with. It talks like what does it offer? And then more NDI, bit rates, licensing, full versus HX, gives you more of the nuanced data. And I can tell you right now, one of the cool things is I have my OBSBot camera right there. And the cool thing with NDI is I added it without adding a wire. I have it over here. I can click to it, and I have it over here. So that camera, that one camera is going to 2 destinations magically, actually over the network. But that is what NDI gives you. NDI puts the camera feed on your local area network, your same Ethernet Wi-Fi network as everything else, and it makes it accessible to anything else on that network, multiple things on that network at the same time, without wires, although wires are more reliable, always. But just being able to do that, I don't have to have a camera, then a splitter, and then extra cables and go to 2 different devices. I just turned it on, it's on my Wi-Fi, and I access it from both devices here. So you see it's on both devices. And on the Pro or the Ultra, not to jump ahead, but on the Ultra, you can click on this and you get PTZ control. It's connecting. Let's go to the Ultra, and you can see that I can move the camera and I can save presets. Although I tried to do this before the show, I've got my preset 1 and then I set preset 2 to be close, and it doesn't seem to like storing that. So I go close, I just pan up, and I press and hold P2. I say edit, update. Okay, that's my P2. Go back to P1. It goes back to my wide shot. It remembers P1. And then I say go to P2, and nothing happens. So I think there still needs to be some work on that. You can control the camera, and I'm controlling the camera without the camera being part of the program. Like I can go to my main camera and then still come down here, press and hold. I'm working on it. Overhead. There it goes. PTZ control. You have to put in the IP address of it. And now I think, there we go. Come on. Touch screen is still a little wonky on the Ultra. There it goes, it connected. So here I am, I'm on P1 and it still won't go to P2. I don't know why. But if I zoom in and say go over here, or you can't just drag, there it goes. Okay, that's some of the stuff I got on the wall. I add a P, that's P3. Let's just make sure I edit, I update, that's P3. Good, go back to P1. No, it didn't pan back to the right. P2? Nope. P3? Nope. So still work to be done on that feature. But adding NDI to the Pro is very good. A feature. Actually, let me go back in and repan that camera. Connecting. And then pan it to the right a little bit, pan it to the right a little bit. There we go. Even just being able to reframe it is really handy. And countdown timer background music didn't play. Fix that. Fix the issue with the sound from another signal disappears when HDMI is unplugged. Right. Then you had the 5.4 update, which supported recording files longer than 3.5 gigabyte. Now, this was a specific request for people who are doing really long shows. They don't want the YOLO to keep segmenting the files. And when you go into your settings over here and you're setting your recording limits, you can tell it to segment the file every 10 minutes, every 20 minutes, sort of for safety. So if something does crash, you at least have up to that last 10 minutes. Or if it's working great for you, you can say record continuously. But then the problem was you would hit a file size limit from your EX FAT, storage media. And those things say, well, EXFAT, I think you can go longer, but certain formats are limited to 4 gigabytes. and every 4 gigabytes, it'd have to chop it, segment a new file. It does that on my Panasonic GH4s. Even if I stick in an exFAT, it still says 4, 4, 4, 4, and it drives me nuts. So if you say continuously, what they did with the 5.4 update is now continuously means continuously, but you have to format your media in NTFS, which is a window formatting. I think you can format your media on a Mac as NTFS, but it's primarily a Windows format. Web URL overlay optimization, 1080 size. Yes, they finally did fix this. So if I come into my overlays and I add a web URL overlay and I have a couple built on YoloCast, I'm going to go get my baseline. Actually, I'm going to get this one, whatever, done. Now, it used to have horizontal and vertical and scale. Horizontal and vertical, I made lots of videos where they just didn't do anything. So now you can scale it, and you can move it. Problem solved. Problem solved. It now works like it makes sense. You can enter a name so that if your content is really small and when it goes into the thumbnail, you can't read it, you can enter a name. But being able to just scale it to a size and say, oh, you know what? I want this over here. And then I'm going to put on auto hide after 10 seconds. Done. There. It works like you think it should work. And you bring up the title. Is it actually working still? There you go. There it is. You can see I'm switching underneath it and it went away by itself. It didn't fade out, interestingly enough. Let's bring it in again. There it is. It took a couple of seconds to fade in. 2, 1, and it cuts out. Interesting. It should fade out because it fades in. Maybe I'm just not seeing it. Maybe the frame rate has gone down, but more work to be done. Contact us in the account and settings, NDI instructional text update, and fix the crash issue. And then the 5.4.1 update. I mean, it's a point, but the thing that they added over here was the YoloDeck. Now, level up your experience. Let's configure the YoloDeck. I did a couple videos on the YouTube channel already about your YoloDeck, and all of that applies to this. So if you haven't already seen those videos and you're interested in adding the YoloDeck to your Pro, now that that's possible, I encourage you to go over there to that video where it says YoloDeck Control Surface. Go watch that video. It is 22 minutes long, very good video. And it's probably going to be outsourced, outdated, pretty soon in terms of all the different things that you can do in the YoloDeck, but the actual process of adding your features, let's go to YoloDeck. You can see over here on the right-hand side, I have all these sources, 10 sources. I have start and stop replay, next page or last page in a PDF. Take my program to go full screen on the YOLO if I'm using that. Fade to black, switch to analog, audio follows video, on or off. Live streaming, program out, go live or pause live. I will say I do not recommend making that or recording. I do not recommend making this or this a button. I recommend against making these buttons because in my experience, if I, let's just try it. Let's just say record. I'm going to take this. I'm going to drag it to the trash. Delete. I'm going to put record over here. Super easy to program. You can't customize what they look like, but that's how that works. We're going to say save. Here's your overlays, your scoreboard, and I think they're going to tweak the scoreboard and your comments tab. Save. Save is successful. And now you see I've got record down here. I exit. Yes, I want to exit. So now I'm over here and I'm going to hit record and it starts recording. See that? Let me go side by side again. So now I've hit the record button on the YOLO or on the YoloDeck and it started recording. And then it stopped recording. When you hit stop record on the YOLO, it asks you, are you sure? In case you accidentally touched it. But if you hit this button here, it doesn't ask you. It just goes away. and stops recording. And if you weren't paying attention, if you were looking at the show and you were hitting buttons and you accidentally hit that stop record button, you've stopped recording or you've stopped streaming and you won't know it because you're watching the show and hitting the buttons. So I heartily recommend don't assign those things to buttons unless you do it at your own risk, but I recommend against it because there's no alert that shows up on the YOLO saying, are you sure you wanted to stop recording or stop streaming? Because just to make sure you're in the middle of a show, maybe you pushed that accidentally. Nope, doesn't even ask. It just, all right, you're done. Whereas if I'm on the YOLO itself and I hit record, I'm going to start recording. Okay, start recording. And then when I'm on the YOLO and I hit record again, did you want to stop recording? This is the alert that needs to appear whether you hit the little button or the screen. And right now it does not appear when you hit it on the YOLO deck. And that to me is, I would not put the button on the YOLO deck for fear that I accidentally hit it and, oh yeah, let me stop that, done. Accidentally stopped streaming or stopped recording by accidentally pushing that button or resting my hand or brushing against it or something like that. Yeah, not worth it to me. I don't need that sort of convenience. I'll do it on the YoloBox itself. Let me go back up. We got a couple comments come in. Hello from Turkey. Hello to Turkey. Is it possible to choose the input for replay in the YoloBox Ultra? Yes. You can select your inputs. The OBSBot is a replica of the Magewell Director Mini. Can't wait to see a side-by-side comparison of the two. I don't know. I'm told that there's OS tweaks, and it's going to be really more suited to handling the cameras. So you're going to be able to do more with the OBSBot cameras if you're using the OBSBot Talent. But yes, I mean, you could easily see that frame, you know, it looks like the Magewell Director Mini. I'm not saying anything that isn't blatantly obvious to anyone looking at it. If they changed the enclosure a little bit, that, you know, would have obfuscated that fact, but they didn't. So that is what it is. But operationally, it's sort of like, you know, a Chevy and a Buick. It's the same vehicle underneath, but what do you do with it? So there's definitely an opportunity for OBSBot. Like I said, I haven't opened it yet, for them to really tweak it for their cameras, their capabilities, and, like, you know, remotely turning on face tracking, remotely turning off face tracking, remotely turning on record, or changing the settings of the camera from the Talent. That would be cool, because then I wouldn't need a separate tablet. This is also an Android tablet. I wouldn't need a separate tablet to go into that thing and turn off face track and turn off, you know, finger recognition and all that stuff, which I need to now. If you can do it all in the Talent, okay, that's pretty cool. Thank you. So if the OBSBot, did my mouse die? No. There it goes. If the OBSBot are going to bake in all that capability into the Talent, I think that's going to be a good thing for them who are in the OBSBot ecosystem. So hey, that's fine. You know, if you're doing things, if you're not using OBSBot cameras, then the Magewell is a good tool. If you are using OBSBot, you know, cameras and everything else and other hardware, then having a device that has more connection to those cameras and stuff makes sense. What is your opinion of using an external solid-state hard drive for the YOLO Ultra instead of the memory card? I've heard the spring-loaded memory slot is prone to failure. I have not had failure with my Ultra. The SD card is more recessed than the Pro, which I find I have to really struggle to get my finger in there, which bothers the hell out of me. I have this one marked with red for a reason. I have a little right angle adapter, and I think I did a video on it, where I made a little right angle adapter for a USB stick so that I could literally just access it from the top, and I stick it in and it right angles into the YoloBox, and then I can record right to the USB stick, and then when I'm done, I just yank it out. I don't have to struggle with it at all. It's literally sticking up like that, and I'm just like, all right, I'm done the show, boom, and I take it. and the right angle USB adapter stays in there. Is it prone to failure? I think anything is prone to failure the more you jank around with it. So I guess technically I'm also making it a little bit lighter wear and tear on the USB port by having that right angle and using something else. So if that one, gets messed up with me sticking this in and out, then I throw that away and I spend another $11 and I get another right angle thing. What is the Pro NDI spec? I couldn't connect the iPhone test pattern app to open. The Pro said this input was too high resolution. I think it's just HD. 1080p, 3060 would probably be the tops. I have actually brought in full NDI from a Bird Dog into the Pro. So the fact that it handled full NDI at 100 megabits a second, and me sticking my hand up, the OBSBot camera just went blue. Stop it. So it handled full NDI, which is pretty cool, actually, if you have the network infrastructure to handle that. And I know it handles HX3 and I know it handles HX2 because that's what I've used it with the Mevo Starts, which are HX2. I've used it with HX3, and I have not tried to use H265, and that is one of the things that on the Pro with NDI, they specifically say that don't use, if you're going to use H264, you can get 1080p. If you're going to use the higher quality, which I guess is the lower bitrate, more heavily compressed version, QVC or whatever it is, it's actually just HEVC or H265. And that takes more processing, so go with 720p so there's less bits. That's what they recommend. Is there a timing issue using NDI sources? Of course. Of course. There's always a timing issue. So in addition to the HDMI, so I got my camera, it comes in, and in order to sync it, I need to rip the signal apart and re-put it back together again, and that takes 2 frames. NDI is a networked compressed video source. Even if it's full NDI, it's still compressed. And it hits the sensor, and then in the camera, it's being compressed, which takes time, and then gets sent across the network, which takes a couple milliseconds, and then it gets decompressed in whatever device. Doesn't matter. In whatever device you're using. So you've already lost a frame, maybe 2, in that process. Now it hits the video processor just like the HDMI camera, and then it has to be ripped apart and matched up and synced with the rest of the cameras. So you have NDI sources that are going to be a little bit behind your straight video. So if I ran an HDMI cable from my Bird Dog and I took HX2 or 3 around the network, one's going around the block, one isn't. Now, if these YOLO boxes and the direct, all of these lower end products, and by lower end, I mean more affordable, do not have the computing horsepower that a TriCaster or a vMix setup in a computer does. Those you can actually delay your straight in line feeds to match the delayed NDI feeds so they're all timing out together. But you can't do that in any of these all-in-one solutions yet. You're the only person I know that knows a bit about Switcher Studio. Are they using something like NDI to be able to use the DJI gimbal, pan, tilt, and zoom? Because I'd love to keep that on something new. Nope. Switcher Studio has been doing DJI mobile gimbal control for years. And Switcher Studio does not do NDI at all. And what they do is they use the DJI API in the phone that you're using as a camera. So Switcher Studio tells the phone, pan left. The phone tells the gimbal, pan left. That's how that works, because there's an API for that. And then people say, well, why can't I use the auto tracking, that the DJI has to just follow people automatically? Because DJI did not give that to you in the API. That's why. Oh, I see we are done on Instagram. They limit us to exactly an hour. So Instagram is done, but thank you all for being here. Fantastic audience. I appreciate all the questions. Okay. Okay, we're all humming today. Strange, all Prive presets work for me. Maybe I need to reboot and reset it, but I did just load it up today. Hello from Austria. Great show. Thank you very much. I appreciate you chiming in. Does YoloBox take sound from USB? Depends on which YoloBox you're talking about, because there are 4 of them, not counting the in-stream. In-stream would be 5. 5 different devices released over the course of 6 years. Does YoloBox take sound from USB? The Ultra, I believe, does. But I'm not positive on that because it's not something I use a lot. If somebody just needs to bring in an audio source, I recommend having an audio mixer and bring in a line level source. Hello from Austria. Great show. Didn't I just get that? Yeah. Okay, it came in twice. So apologize for posting that twice, but it came in twice. Let me continue with, that was the only sheet I have on the YoloBox. The Ultra, dun, 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 the Ultra, right here. You asked, we delivered the 2.2 update, supported 25 and 50 frames per second. So everyone that is not in the North America finally gets their 25 and 50 frames per second back with the 2.2 update for the Ultra. So yay. Supports web URL overlay with audio, smoother scrolling, text overlays, enhanced display for web URL overlays. Hey, you know what? Let's try that same thing that I did. Add web URL overlays, choose from YoloCast. These are my overlays that I've got set up in my YoloCast. And again, YoloCast is free right now. It's free for anyone who has a YoloBox. You have a YOLO account that gets you into creating web graphics on YoloCast. So it's free. And here we can see, yes, it has the same update, so I can scale it. And yes, it's appearing the proper width. Yay! And I can move it around. And look at that. That actually looks really sweet. Auto hide. I can turn on my auto hide. It's interesting that the duration was always visible, whereas I had to actually turn auto hide on, and then it appeared over here. But regardless, this is great. So now I've got my little scrolling title. Let's just say lead done. And then I could turn it on and tap 2, 3, there it goes. And it actually zipped on, I guess. So there we have that. And if I take this full screen, you'll see that a little bigger. And if I take the Ultra like this, you'll see it even bigger. So there's my lower third. And this is the full screen. If you don't know that, it's a handy little, it's a hack. Trust me, it's a hack that I figured out and nobody else knows. You hit that little arrow icon in the corner and you can make your program take over the full screen to see things closer or bigger or easier. And then you can still get to all your settings and stuff like that. They're right there. And then you can tap that and make it go back to small so you have access to your sources and your graphics and things like that. Nobody else knows it but me. It's a hack. I love it when I see people with a hack to do something and I'm like, you're using things the way they're supposed to be used. Drag function in the overlay section. Yes. So drag function. So if something is in the wrong order, like I wanted this higher, you can hold that and then drag it around and put it up there. So that's good. Auto hide features for comments. Yes, that was if you're doing comments, you can come up here. They're still working on this. That's a new bug where the username is not in color. Let me go back in here. So I'll choose this one. And now at the bottom, you've got auto hide. So you can bring up a comment and after 10 seconds, it'll fade out by itself, which is something that I actually really like. I really like this a lot. And for comments in my show, these live shows, what I'm using is I'm using Restream because it's actually pulling in 6 different places. And that's great. I appreciate that feature, but it doesn't have auto hide. So there's been times when I'm just talking, and that comment is just sitting there and I forget to turn it off. Auto hide is great. So that's a really handy feature that is very nice. So you turn that on right there. And after 10 seconds, done. When you bring that comment up, I have no comments to demo it. But when you bring that comment after 10 seconds, it'll just go out by itself. So excellent. Video source optimizations, up to 5 local video sources. That's awesome. And a pause function for local videos. So you can come in here. I can say, let me get my video. Well, actually, let me do this countdown. I like the countdown done. And then I can bring that up. And there it is playing. And then I wonder how I'm going to. I don't see how I'm going to stop it. No, I don't want to trash it. I'm not seeing where the stop is. It does not. Oh, there it is. Ah, hard to see because of the graphic that I chose. But along the bottom edge here, there's a little play, and there's a progress bar. So I can scoot that baby along to wherever I want to. Oh, can you skip to like 4 minutes in? Yes, I can. Not easily, but I can. And then hit play, and there you go. So you can play and pause and talk about something. That's really nice. Although I bet you it's still going to be subject to, when I come out of it, go back in, there is a setting over here in your settings that pause when switching, resume first frame. So if I do cut away from the video, it's going to jump back to 15. So that is still going to override the fact that you paused it, but when you cut away from it, it's going to jump back to the beginning because you told it to. So there's a lot of settings in these devices. You know, if you have one of these devices, spend hours going through every single setting, figuring out what it does. Because there's so many times people post in their group, I can't figure out how to, and everybody's like, go to your gear icon, go to this setting. How do I get program out? You go to this icon and you turn on program out. But that's really what they're for. Bugs fixed, audio issues with NDI, green screen issues. So I'm not going to cover the bugs. And then after 2.2, 2.4 came out on the Ultra. NDI output supports resolution and frame rate selection. Oh, let's try that. Chroma keying, cropping, rename, PTZ control. I don't see that there. So is that NDI? Oh, NDI output. So if you turn on NDI out, and then you click on it, I can say that I want this to be 1080p, 720p, 30 frames a second. Oh, while it's enabled, I can't. Okay, so let me turn it off and then select it. There's 25, there's 30, there's 50, there's 60. So there you go. And 720p and 1080p. So that is going to be very handy for people everywhere else in the world that are not in the North American market that deals with 30 and 60. So now you can select 50 and 25. Don't really know who needs 48. I understand it's twice 24 frames a second, but I don't know who's working in 48 frames a second, but there it is. Improve touchscreen responsiveness, especially in the audio mixer. Yes, touchscreen on the, it's actually like first try I'm getting these things. There was definitely a time there where they tweaked this. They tweaked the ability to customize your menu down here. And if you'll notice that this menu and this menu don't match at the bottom, and there's no little red icon over here. And that's because on the Pro, this is the way they delivered it. You can't change it. So you have bonding as your first icon. And if you're not using bonding, like I'm not, that icon is always in the way. I'm never going to use it, yet it's the first icon all the time. Technically, bonding should be a setting because you're going to set it once and then you never need to adjust the bonding while you're doing a show. I don't know why it needs to be up there along with, here's my titles, here's my audio mixing, things like that, but it is. So what I did over here on the Ultra is I have it set for titles is the first thing I need to do. Comments would be the second thing. Audio mixing is the third thing. I can invite guests. Here's my sports scoreboard. And then I've moved everything else after the gear icon that I consider a setting. And a setting to me is something that I set once, and then once I do my show, I never touch it. It's not something I'm going to need to touch during a show. It's a setting. So over here is my gear settings, my stream destinations. I'm not changing those during the show. Replay. If I'm going to do replay, I set it up and it does it. I don't need to change my replay settings during a show. You know, if I'm going to use auto switch, I set it up, start it, it's going. same with bonding, and same with how I'm recording. So all of those I consider settings. So I've moved those to the right, and it's super simple. You just press, hold, and then you can move these around just like that. Let me put this down so that I can make that shot a little bigger. Let's go to the Ultra. I'm going to press and hold, and then you can see that I'm just dragging that around to where I want it. So if comments are more important to you, you can put comments first. If overlays are more important, so overlays and comments when I do these shows are the most important thing. I need those to be right there, the first two things. Whereas on the Pro, you can see here's comments, but I can't, here's my overlays. That's the red icon. I don't know why it's not a red icon on the Ultra, but they went to an underline for whatever reason. But you can see right here that here is my overlays, but where's my comments? Oh, I have to move this over here to get to my user comments. Oh, now I want to do an overlay. Well, now I have to move it back to get to my that's just stupid. And, settings should be off. The things you need to adjust. If you're doing scoreboard, here's your scoreboard, overlay, scoreboard, overlay, scoreboard, comment, back and forth, back and forth. So on the Ultra, you can put all those things right there so you never have to scroll. Oh, sorry about that. On the Ultra, you can put all these things. Hey, I want my scoreboard because I'm doing this game. I'm going to put that right here. And those are the three things I need to touch directly. And with the YOLO deck, you can put the scoreboard on here, so that's another added advantage there. Sorry, but I digressed about that. That's a really cool feature that I liked. When does the app control come in Pro? I don't know. I'm not part of the engineering team. I'm an end user just like you. How to clean up the accumulated graphics in the YoloCast overlays? I want to delete some old uploaded graphics. That's a good question. I don't know. And I don't have it set up to, I'm not logged into it to be able to test it, but that's a good question. I would ask that in the group. I'm sure other people have come against that because YoloCast has been around for a couple of years now. So people have had to be able to delete stuff. Is there any alternative for scrolling text in Pro? The scrolling text, Pro has built-in scrolling text, and you've got YoloCast graphics. You can do scrolling text there. So that's what I was showing. So if I'm in the Pro, go to the Pro. If I'm in the Pro, I can do scrolling graphics here. Which one is that? I think it's this one. No, not that one. Here it is. So I've got scrolling text there. And that I would think would be scroll. Oh, I didn't enter any text. And then you can go to your web URL overlays, choose from YoloCast, add that, done. It's going to load it. There it is, done. And then I can bring that up. So there's two that are inherent. And you can see there is a delay when it's grabbing the web graphics. It doesn't come up when you hit it. You have to think 5 seconds from now, I'm going to want that. Or if it's like a pre-show thing. But again, you can see it's still not super smooth. It's almost like nobody can do this super smooth. Even when I use this stuff on like StreamYard and things like that, they're in the cloud on some super powerful computer. Scrolling text is still, why is it janky? We've got this technology. Why can't we just make this stuff work? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But there's two things, and then you tap it, and it just cuts off. He says it makes the video choppy. Yeah, I would say, well, I would think the web overlay would be less choppy, although it's technically doing, which is easier on the Pro to think through. Moving that graphic or putting up a graphic that's being moved in the cloud. I would think being moved in the cloud, but then again, it's bringing in a web overlay that might be more challenging than just creating the graphic within. Third way to do it would be to do something in, let's say PowerPoint, and then bring that in as a video and then do a picture-in-picture like that. So your PowerPoint is laid over top with the green screen to cut away the background. And then PowerPoint is doing the moving, and the YoloBox is just doing a picture-in-picture, which I think is the easiest thing for the YoloBox to do. So continuing on with the Ultra, this is the Ultra. Optimized the web URL overlay. Yes, added multiple image sources. So that's been a very, like, I don't know why that wasn't there before, but being able to say, you know, oh, I'm going to need this, done. And it brings them all in. Or it doesn't. Why let me pick 3 if you're only going to bring in 1? That's silly. I guess they still need to work on that. You can bring in 1 at a time, but you can bring in multiple graphics stills. Although technically, there you go. Oh, I see. Remember, they're stacks. Forgot about that. These are stacks of graphics. So let me delete. Yeah, it's not recognizing my finger input when I press on these things. There it goes. Delete, done. This, delete. You kind of have to aim a little bit underneath of it. So when I bring in image 1, it's not image 1. It is all those things that I tapped on, so that when I go there and I bring this up, and let me take away that graphics. Where is that? Go away. Images. I want this. 2, 3, 4, 5. Done. So that's there. I bring in, yeah, there it is. So now you see there, I've got 1 through 5 in the bottom corner right there. So I'm able to, and with the YOLO deck, I'm able to go through those stills, skip to the front, skip to the back. I'm able to go through those stills, and you can have multiple stacks. So you can have 5 different stacks, and each of those stacks can include multiple images, like like a PowerPoint, like a PDF, but now you can have stacks of images. USB output now supports 60 frames a second. Preview frame rate now supports 60 frames a second. And that's the frame rate at the bottom. Let me go to the overhead. That's the frame rate down here. People were complaining that I can't really see what's going on down here at the bottom because the frame rate's so low and the USB frame rate is still low. But the frame rate coming in from these is much smoother than normal. So that's been tweaked a little bit. So the frame rate of these previews down the bottom are faster. Vertical mode now supports RTMP. Horizontal mode now supports HLS streaming. Improved display for preview and overlay menu. 4 in a row. Customize icons on the toolbar. Yeah, customize the icons on the toolbar? I don't think I can customize the icons. Really? That would be interesting. I'll have to check that out. Web URL overlay supports up to 3 different URLs at once. Only 1 with audio. So you could have multiple sources for your web URL graphics. Third-party URLs from YoloCast. Overlay locking in multi-view. Yay! Okay, this is a feature that I have been one of those people that have asked about it. I said, listen, if I'm doing a side-by-side and I've got me and the thing that I'm talking about done, and I've got this thing sized with the background and all this nice stuff done, I want to be able to lock. That's probably not going to work. Oh, wait, bring it up first. I want to be able to, yeah, there's no lock on that one. Nope, I don't see a lock. I see a delete, but I don't see the lock button. Go away. Nope, I don't see that. Overlay locking in multi-view. Well, I don't know which overlays are supposed to be able to be locked. Because, oh, there's a lock. Can't quite see it because of the plus. Let's see if I move one of these down. If I click on this one has a lock. So that one is now locked on there. So if I click away and click back to it, the overlay has a graphic attached to it. Battery running out soon. All right, I thought I was plugged in. Let me move one of these power cables. Oh, 4%. That's not good. And it says that's not, I don't have power on that cable. So let me grab this one. I don't know where my screen just went. Maybe it died. I had it plugged in the entire time. Yeah, it just died. I had my power cable plugged in, and it just said, nope, not going to charge. So that is cool. However, it seems like it's limited to, like if I bring this graphic in, I can't lock that one. If I bring a timer, can't lock a timer. If I want to bring a web graphic, I can't lock a web graphic. So it's still kind of limited in terms of what I'm going to be able to lock to a multi-view. Being able to lock something is good. I would like to be able to lock more things. Optimize NDI and web URL overlay UI. Network bonding optimization, UI interaction optimization, and there's bug fixes. 2.5 supports PTZ control. So I showed that a little bit before. What you do is you press and hold on the gear icon. If you can, aim a little low. No, not the trash. There we go. PTZ control. Oh, we just tap it. Here I am. PTZ control, connecting. There I am. And now I can control that camera, and I can zoom in, I can zoom out, and then there's a speed, low, slower, fast. Zoom in, zoom out. And supposedly if I hit press, edit, update, and I go to P1, nope, I go to P2, go to P3. So maybe I just need to reboot because I just installed this. I just redid this one today and it's not working. But someone in the comments says the presets up to 5 are working for them. It's just not working for me right now when I try to do the demo. Support customized multi-view. That is something that I know a lot of people have asked for. Customized. Over here on the bottom right, you see where it says new with that bright yellow thing? Customized. So you can add a source. Oh, that looks familiar. That's a page out of the Magewell design right there. Can I choose multiple? Oh no, I'm just choosing one. Okay, done. And then I can size it. I can crop it. There you. Oop, no, free. Thank you. There we go. Save. And then I can size that and move it where I want to. And then move it up and down in a layer. Say I want something else. Choose a source. I want to choose a background. Well, I wanted to choose a still image. And then I want to move that back. I want to make this bigger to cover the whole frame. This box, I want to add a border. There's no border yet. I want to add a drop shadow. I want to round the edges. This is the Magewell Director Mini has got a few advantages here because you can see in this one, I've got a rounded edge. I've got the border and everything. These are all being created in the Magewell that has this kind of same look. But what's that? Ah, there we go. So I can pull backgrounds. So here's a background. Image, video, official templates. Okay, or from my SD card. Good. I can pull things from my SD card. Ooh, I wonder if I can pull moving backgrounds. That would be kind of cool. So let me select this layer and trash it, delete. There is my moving background with a picture-in-picture. Yeah, I just want to see if it's going to work. And then I bring it up, and there it is. So it's an animated GIF background. Bring that out. So you can see that background and just an animated GIF background. You can get that throw back there and run stuff on top of it. That's pretty cool. And then put an animated GIF over top. Yay! So very customized. Looking forward to more features with that, especially borders, because when you go to the side by side like this, one of the it really having a border, I think really looks better than not having a border, because if you take this same input and you say no border, done. Cancel. No, I'm just trying. No, there we. Stop. There we go. I don't know. It just doesn't look this. It doesn't look as good without some sort of border around the various sources. So custom is great. I appreciate, and applaud being able to give users the ability to go in there and, make whatever you want to make. But at the same time, without at least borders on these sources, let alone, some way to differentiate them a little bit, I think that is going to, looking forward to the next update to the customized multi-view. And optimize the built-in scoreboard templates. So let's go over here to scoreboard, pick one. So they look pretty good. And then, of course, like always, when you go to the scoreboard styling, you could, add things, font, background color, text color, background, game logo, period, background color. Add the time, add a countdown timer. I don't know where that's actually not going anywhere. Oh, there it is, time at the bottom. Let me see if I turn it off. Yeah, time is going back at the very bottom of that. Let me make that bigger. So you can see at the very bottom down here, it's adding the time. So that's actually pretty cool, pretty nice looking graphic. And of course, there's more graphics at the cloud solution, the web graphics that are provided through your YoloCast. And that is a way that you can have more choices and you can even build your own. Now, whether the YOLO deck actually works with the custom web graphics, I don't know, and I'm going to guess no. But that would be very interesting because you'd have to tell the cloud to change it as opposed to talking to the device itself. Bug fixes. And then the 2.5.1 update is the last sheet I have. PTZ control entry optimization. And that comes from people who are doing the beta and, having the PTZ control was up here. They felt that it should be down off camera so that I don't have to bring it up first, so I could be on a different source, this one. And you see how it's right here? Having it only available up here meant you had to bring the source into program in order to get that icon. Whereas if I go to a different camera, it's not there. So being able to now access it down on the gear icon, I'm going to tap the gear icon, you see PTZ control, I can then go in there, it'll connect to the camera, and then I can tap those presets and it'll, in my case, not move. But other people say, works fine. So maybe I just need to reboot. I'm not going to reboot right now. I'm in the middle of a show. When no video source is present, preview does not show PTZ control icon. After exiting and re-entering that PTZ control icon does not display. Web URL optimization. Modify the text for customized multi-view. Cropping function for customized multi-view, allowing the smallest ratio to be further reduced. And it took me a while to print out all these different pages from all these different notes for all these different updates. And one thing I would love to see YOLO do is on the blog, on the web page, or in the top of the support, is to have a change log. And this is just me as an end user, just stating what I feel. I'm not part of YOLO anymore. I am independent, and as StreamTek, as the chief gearhead here at StreamTek, I would love to see YOLO and technically any manufacturer who are going to be coming out with updates for your products, whether it be OBSBot, The Talent, Magewell, or anybody, take a page out of Blackmagic. You go to the support thing and you type in a product, and on the left-hand side is, here's this update, here's this update, here's this update, here's this update. And when you click on it, it tells you what was in that update. It makes it very easy to find what feature was added when. And I know you can update your software on these devices, and that's very handy. But at the same time, having a place you can go back to say, oh, how do I do this? Oh, you need to install this update. Here's the link. You know, this is where it is. This is what it updated. So you can go, you know, if you got a show coming up on Saturday and it's Friday and you're like, oh, this new update came out. Do I need to install it? If it doesn't have something you need, you know, as I said in my update video, don't update just before an event. Don't update just before a stream, because there may be, you know, an update for this may affect something else. And if there's not something that you need fixed with that update, if you're not sitting there begging like, oh my God, I hope this update makes it so I can control the PTZ control without having to bring it in a program. Okay, here it is. Here's the update. Okay, I need that feature. I'm going to update. If you're someone that doesn't have a PTZ camera, don't update just before an event to an update that doesn't give you something that you're begging for. You know, do your event, be done with your event. Everything is working like it should. You've tested it. It's working. It's good. You do your event. You're done. Then go do the update. When you've got time to figure out, you know, when there's a couple days, you know, maybe they can come out with a bug fix to fix something that, you know, goes awry somewhere else. Always wait and never just jump at every single last update, especially if you use CrowdStrike. Had a question come in. Oftentimes I notice the Ultra plugged in, however, it isn't charging. Good, that just happened that I know it's something with the YOLO. It's not something with the YOLO. It is, I have installed on my little table here, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, multiple devices, at least 4, often many more, and 5 and 6, actually. 6 devices all being powered via USB. I went and bought one of those 250 watt, 8 output devices, and it's not working properly. So every now and then, ports and things that are connected to it don't charge. And it's frustrating. So I haven't figured, you know, it's not an Anchor, it's an off brand. And I think that's, you get what you pay for. You know, you want to save, you know, $50 off of an Anchor. You're going to have to deal with the fact that sometimes it's just not going to output to all the ports, which is very, very frustrating. I mean, you know, I'm not using the laptop output ports up top, which are supposedly like 80 watts each. I'm using the other ones. And even with that, it's not, you know, I tried 2 different outputs from this thing, and neither one of them are charging my Pro here, and I don't know why. And so I'm not going to put that one on the Pro. I've had issues where I've had things plugged into that and nope, whether it be a camera or some other device. And it's just like, yeah, I'm not going to charge. I'm not going to run. You know, I have a dongle that's supposed to take a video output from an Apple tablet, and it requires the dongle to be powered. And then sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. And it's just frustrating. But that is the way those things work. Another comment comes in. Does PTZ control work with a camera connected via HDMI? No. If you noticed when I do the camera control, when I go to control a camera, let me move this comment. And I click on that and it says PTZ control. It's asking for the URL address. So it has to be accessible via the network. It's not coming. Yes, you can still come in via HDMI, I think. Good question. Let's give it a shot. I think I've got a dongle here for that. Oh, I do. I do. No, not that one. Yeah, I got a micro. So if I take that and I take a cable, yeah, that's going to be the hard part. Find me an extra HDMI cable that I'm not already using for something else. Well, I guess I don't need this one anymore because the Pro died. So I will take the Pro output cable. I will plug it into the OBS. I will come over here and input 4, come out. I'm coming out NDI. So I guess I got to turn off NDI on the OBS in order to get my HDMI out. Boo, 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 boo. Come back out. Turn off NDI. And then, technically, it should automatically activate my HDMI out. 2, 3. Plug that in. And it's not working. All right, well, my OBSBot is not giving me HDMI out, which is weird because I just turned off NDI. Output 1080p at 30 frames a second. Should be working fine, but it's not. Good. I'm going to turn off the camera and then I'm going to turn it back on again. Oh, yeah, let me delete that. Delete, done. And then, done. I'm going to turn the camera back on and see if it finds the HDMI. And the fact that NDI is off now. And it's not. So I can't answer that question because the OBSBot will not connect to me via HDMI for no reason I can fathom at the moment. Even though NDI is off and it's not recording, and I have the micro HDMI converter connected, it's just not, nope, it's all connected. I just get no video out of it over HDMI. Yeah, weird. Sorry, can't answer that. Oh, don't cancel that. But that will bring us to the end of today's show. I do appreciate you all being here. Thank you again for being part of it. We had a really good show today. Had a lot of great questions. Hopefully I was able to cover some of the really cool things that have been going on with the YOLO with the recent updates. A lot of capabilities. Still, some things need to be refined and updated to be more usable, to work better. But I do find that the usability is increasing. And like some people have said, I'd rather have something be bulletproof than have all these extra features. But at the same time, some of the features that they're adding are like really, really useful, like totally custom multi-views is really useful. It's something that I've been using in the Director Mini, you know, this whole thing with this me and the custom background and that, and this one without a border, so you don't see where the end is, and that one with a border, and then the overlay here, completely custom. But, and then I'm able to do it with a wireless Bluetooth interface. So that's pretty cool. And, you know, that is something that I find really useful. And, you know, I look forward to more competition, you know, because who benefits when there's more competition? We do. All of us, the end users, we benefit when YOLO says, oh, look at the custom layouts. We're going to copy that from Director Mini, from Magewell. And Magewell hopefully can look at that and say, oh, remote guests. We're going to add a feature that allows you to do remote guests. I hope, you know, maybe. And that way we as end users benefit from having those increased capabilities over the course of time. Gone are the days when you release a product and you're just like, it's out, it's done, forget it. You know, nowadays we expect that something's going to come out, and if there's something that could be done better, tweaked, updated, it's going to happen. We expect our products to get better over time. So that's pretty cool. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And like I says, in the description, there's a Patreon. You know, if you find these things are helpful to you, sign up, become a member. I'm new to Patreon. I haven't done anything like that before. So sign up, become a member, support me. And we're giving away stickers, cool stickers, glitter stickers. They actually, you know, got a cool glitter going on. And you could join the Facebook group here. And not a group, there is a group, but this is the channel. So when things are going to happen, they'll be posted on the channel. Also very active on the YouTube as well, in that there will be a members section for additional content. There will be there's posts on there too. So if you haven't already subscribed to get the posts, additional behind the scenes content and things like that, do subscribe for that. If you are interested in the, goodness gracious, go away, Facebook. You don't have to put it on every page. There's the AirMix group for those who are using that software. It's unofficial. It's not supported by Teradek anymore, but it is really handy. It is pretty cool. So, and they've made every feature it can do is free and open, and go get it. And you can follow my work at Streaming Media Producer at streamingmedia.com. And if you need consulting or anything like that, production, stream4.us. If you're looking for someone to stream for us, that's me. With that, my name is Anthony Barocas. I thank you all for being here, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching.